Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Yevamos, Parak Yud, chapter 10, Mishna Zayin, Mishna 7. Bentei Shoshana v'yem echad. The 9-year-old, we'll be discussing from yesterday, who we say his act of cohabitation is considered a full-fledged act. Shabal Yevimtei, and he cohabited with his Yevama, with his brother's wife. His brother died without children, and he went ahead and he did yibum with her. He cohabited with her. Now, as we said yesterday, the yibum that is performed by this minor, because his act is considered a full-fledged act, nonetheless, his ability to be actually married to her, according to Torah law, doesn't exist. It's only a midrabanan that the Rabbanan said that because his act is an act, that we give his cohabitation, his act of yibum, the status of maimer, the status of partial marriage, the status that the Rabbanan gave to a person who does kedushin on his Yevama. So it's a partial marriage. And then there was another brother who was 9 years old. You know, they could have been twins, or they could have just been, again, one. The point is they're both under bar mitzvah age. So and afterwards, his brother, who was also a minor, he also cohabited with her. Okay, now, under normal circumstances, if one brother does yibum, the Yevama becomes his wife, and there's nothing more to do afterwards. But in this case, we're talking about where, again, his yibum is only partial, so to speak. It's only midrabanan, having the same status of maimer, and now his brother went and did the same thing. Says the Mishna, pasal al yadai. He has invalidated his other brother. The same way, if let's say in a situation where you have adults and you have a sister-in-law and one brother does maimer on her, and now another brother goes and does maimer on her, the halacha is each one invalidates the other. Each one has invalidated the other one, because since maimer is not a complete marriage, therefore there is still zika, there's still a yibum bond left, and therefore another brother's maimer can also take effect. And if it takes effect, it forbids the other brother, even though he already did a maimer. But since it's not a complete marriage, it's still possible for the other one to do something to invalidate the other. And therefore, in our case, where we're talking about both are minors, both are doing actual yibum, since their actual yibum only has a status like maimer, it's only a partial marriage, therefore they invalidate each other. So if the first minor did yibum, which actually invalidated the other brother, because it has a status like maimer, and then the other minor does yibum, cohabits with the sister-in-law, that also is considered like maimer. And therefore, it's like one brother doing maimer, then another brother doing maimer, they're both going to be invalidated. So that's the opinion of the first of the Tanna Kama. Reb Shimon Oimer, Reb Shimon says, Reb Shimon Oimer, Reb Shimon says, Loi pasal. The second one does not affect the first. Now, Reb Shimon is of a very interesting opinion. The Tanna Kama, the first opinion, which was yesterday's Mishnah, is saying that the katan, the minor, who does yibum, who cohabits with his yevama, the status after that is, it's like maimer. It's like the rabbinic kedushin done on the yevama. And therefore we say that if somebody follows, whether it's going to be another minor following with a yibum, whether that's we had yesterday, a adult brother does maimer or gives a get or whatever it may be, it's going to validate him because she's not fully married to him. Reb Shimon says that's not the status of a minor. The status of a minor who does yibum, actually, according to Reb Shimon, is a suffix. It's a doubt. What's the doubt? It's all or nothing. It's either a full-fledged maimer, full-fledged yibum. According to Reb Shimon, it's possible that this minor, although typically a minor cannot be married, when it comes to yibum, he will be married. And therefore, his yibum is a full-fledged yibum. She is 100% married to him, like as if an adult would do yibum. And therefore, if she is full-fledged yibum to him, full-fledged married to him, there's nothing that anybody can do afterwards, right? Nothing more that can be done. But on the other side of the suffix, the other side of the doubt of Reb Shimon is that what he did counts as nothing. It's nothing. Because he's a minor, and as a minor, he cannot perform yibum. He can't get married, therefore he can't do yibum. So according to Reb Shimon, it's all or nothing. It's a doubt. He doesn't know what the status is. But the point, therefore, is if it's a doubt, that if another minor follows after him, the second minor isn't going to be any better than the first minor. And therefore, if you say that a minor's act is considered a full-fledged yibum, then the first minor's act was yibum, and the second minor's act is an act of znus. It's an act of cohabitation with a married woman. And if we say that the minor's yibum is nothing, so the first one's nothing, and the second one's nothing. Therefore, according to Shimon, the second yibum, the second bia, the second cohabitation done by the other minor brother is not going to have any effect on the first brother. The first brother, again, he's in a status of suffix to this yivama, and if he becomes an adult, he can then again fully marry her without any question because the other brother had no effect on what he did. That's the machlekes on Akama and Reb Shimon, and the Bartenura says the halacha does not follow Reb Shimon. We consider the act of the minor to have the status to be considered rabbinically a partial marriage, like the status of a mimer. All right, that's Mishna Zion. Let's now do Mishna Ches, which is a continuation. Ben Teisha Shanim V'Yom Echad, 9-year-old, Shabal Yevimtai, cohabited with his Yevama. V'achakach Ba Al Sarasa. And then what did he do? He went ahead and he cohabited with the co-wife, with the other wife of his brother. His brother had 2 wives. So basically, what did he do? He cohabited with one, and then he cohabited with the other. Pasal al yedei atzmai. By doing that, he has disqualified himself from any of them. Okay? Now, the point here is like this. I'm reading to you from number 1 here in the notes. The Tanna Kama considers a boy's cohabitation with his Yevama like an adult mimer. Right? That's what we're saying until now. Now, therefore, just as when an adult brother makes mimer with one widow, and then with the other, they both become forbidden to him, so too when a 9-year-old cohabits with one widow and then with the other, they both become forbidden to him. So again, let's explain it. You have a regular situation, adults. A woman, there were 3 brothers, right? One brother died without children. And no, forget about that. That's not the case. They're a regular case of adults. A brother dies without children. He had 2 wives. So the remaining brother goes and does mimer to one wife. Right? Does mimer to one wife. And then he goes, now by doing mimer to one wife, he's now disqualified from the other wife. Just like if, let's say, for instance, if you do yibum on one wife, then the other wife is forbidden because there's no more mitzvah of yibum on her. So if you go ahead and do mimer on one wife, that forbids the other wife on you. Let's say you go and do mimer on the second wife. The halacha is you've now disqualified the first wife from you. Because since it's only mimer, there's still a possibility for them to affect whatever they do. And the first one's mimer takes effect, the second mimer takes effect, and they disqualify, and both of them become disqualified. So here too, when the katan does bia, when he does the cohabits with his sister-in-law, that has a status of mimer, and then when he goes to the other sister-in-law, the co-wife, it's as if he's done mimer on her also. And when that happens, both of them become forbidden on him. Reb Shimon Oimar, Loi Pasal. Reb Shimon says, no, makes absolutely no difference. Again, according to Reb Shimon, it's either or. It's either the minor's act is a full-fledged marriage, or it's not. If it was a full-fledged marriage, then the first one that he cohabited with is 100% his wife. The second one is for sure forbidden to him. That's forbidden to him like any other case of yibum with 2 wives. And if we say that the minor's act is absolutely nothing, then the first act was nothing, the second act was nothing. And therefore, none of them are affected from what he did. And later on, when he becomes an adult, he can go and marry whichever one he wants. Okay, that's that case. We following? Good? Something wrong? Okay, next. Ben Teisha Shani V'Yom Echad, Shabal Yevimtai, 9-year-old, performed yibum. He cohabited with his sister-in-law, V'Ames, and then he died. Now, if you have a case like this, you've got 3 brothers. One brother died without children. 2 brothers are left. Then another brother, now brother number 2 goes and does yibum on his sister-in-law. Right? And then he dies. So now what happens? The 3rd brother is going to do yibum on this woman. What's important to know is that in such a case, when he is doing yibum on when the 3rd brother is doing yibum, is he doing yibum because of the marriage of the first brother or the second brother? Or both? The answer is, it's from the second brother. The second brother did Yibam. If the second brother did Yibam, then he's done everything. Everything's done. There's no more Zika. There's no more connection from the first brother. The second brother did Yibam. When the second brother dies without children, the third brother is doing Yibam because this woman was his second brother's wife. Okay? However, if let's say you have a situation where you have, so to speak, a Zika from two brothers. Now let's read the Mishna and then we'll explain it. 9-year-old, coveted with his Yevama. And he died. The halacha is that now when it comes to the third brother, the halacha is that he does chalitza, but he does not do yibam. Does chalitza, but doesn't do yibam. Why is that? So the explanation to that is the following. The explanation is, let me tell you how they say it here. Since the 9-year-old's cohabitation with his Yavam is treated only as mimer, it created only a partial marriage with her, which did not completely erase the original Yibam bond. Therefore, when the 9-year-old dies, the widow is now bound to the third brother by 2 Yibam bonds, one from the first brother and one from the partial marriage of the 9-year-old. And as we learned above, a man may not marry his Yevama if he has Yibam bonds with her from 2 different brothers. Okay? So in a regular case, if let's say in a regular case, let's see. Okay. So the point here is that you have the brother died. First brother died. Who did Yibam first? The 9-year-old. That means he did mimer, right? We're saying a 9-year-old's cohabitation is like mimer. So now there's only a partial marriage. That didn't take off did not completely remove the Yibam bond that comes from the first brother, because the first brother, his wife was never fully married. So this woman, when it comes to the third brother, she has a Zika bond to him because of the first brother, because that Zika bond of the first brother was never fully eliminated. She also has a Zika bond from the second brother, because the second brother the 9-year-old who did Bia, he did what's considered like mimer. And based on the mimer, there is also a level of Zika bond from him. So it comes out now when the third brother is doing Yibam on this woman, she has a Zika bond to him from the first brother and from the second brother. And we had a previous Mishnah that if you have that kind of a situation, there's no Yibam that's done. Only Chalitza is done. Which would mean, in the case of an adult, one brother did mimer and then he died. And then now you have the third brother. He also wouldn't be able to do Yibam, because there's a Zika bond on this woman to him, both from the first brother and the second brother. When that happens, we say, no Yibam, only Chalitza. And therefore, that's exactly what's happening here. The 9-year-old cohabited with his Yevama. We're following the opinion of before, that the cohabitation of the minor is like a mimer, it's a partial marriage. And therefore, when he dies, the third brother will only do a Chalitza, not Yibam, because, as we said, she now has a Yibam bond to him, both from the first brother and the second brother, and when that happens, no Yibam is done, only Chalitza. Now, the Mishnah now says a general rule now. Nasa Isha v'meis. If a 9-year-old marries a woman, we're not talking about Yibam here. He goes and he marries, he does a regular, he married a woman, no Yevama, just a regular woman, and then he died. Harei zu p'tura. She is exempt. There is no Yibam and there is no Chalitza. Because outside of Yibam, the Katan cannot have any kind of marriage whatsoever. It's only by Yibam, where again, Yibam doesn't need intent, and he's 9 years, every Yibam, all it needs is an act of cohabitation. The 9-year-old's act is an act, just that he doesn't have the ability, according to Torah law, to be married. But the Rabbanan said, if he did the act, we consider it rabbinically as a partial marriage, as mimer. That's only in the case of Yibam. But if we're talking about outside of Yibam, his act is nothing. He could have gone through he did a kedushin, he did a chuppah, he cohabited with her, completely married. Doesn't make a difference. A minor does not have the ability to halachically to be married, and therefore, if he were to die, his wife, that woman is completely exempt from Yibam or Chalitza. Okay. Said before, to join a group that is speaking Lashon Hara, forbidden to do. Now, what happens if you were in a group and all of a sudden you had no idea, you didn't have any idea they're going to be speaking Lashon Hara, and then they started. What do you do then? If let's say he evaluates the situation and he thinks that his rebuke to tell him to stop is going to help, then he's obligated to do that. Now, what that means is like this. Let's say by going ahead and rebuking them, they're not going to listen, but it's not going to make it any worse. Not going to make it any worse. Then again, he says, you're not permitted to be quiet. Lest they come to say that, you know what? He's remaining silent here. He agrees with us. He's in on it with us. And the truth is that really he is obligated to stand up for the honor of an innocent person if what they're saying is not true. So basically, you've got a situation where if he gives the rebuke, it's not going to make it any worse. Then he still has to rebuke because of the fact that he shouldn't be suspected of agreeing with them and to stand up for the honor of an innocent person. Here too, this is actually one of the things that he's obligated to pick himself up and leave such a group because of the fact that, again, if he does not respond to them, he does not speak up to them, then he's going to be responsible for hearing the wrong things that they did. And therefore, he has to be able to go, he has to, again, as long as things won't get worse, then we say that he has to speak up against them to what they're saying. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.